Hello and welcome to Elisa Maria Designs. Before we begin Chapter 5, I want to take a moment to gently prepare us for what we're about to hear. The chapter opens in the aftermath of deep loss. Bella has buried her child, and with that loss comes not only grief, but a terrible understanding of why her baby died. What unfolds here is not hysteria. It is a woman beginning to see clearly in a world that would rather call her unwell than listen. As you listen, I'll be quietly diamond painting Golden Christmas by Dreamer Designs, letting my hands stay busy so my heart can stay present with the story. This is not an easy chapter. It speaks about illness, betrayal, and the frightening ease with which truth can be dismissed when it becomes inconvenient. So if you need to pause, breathe, or simply listen, please do. And with that, I'm going to turn the reading over to John.
When they told her what the vile disease was that killed the baby, Bella went mad. Minty Jameson said the doctors wanted to certify her, and Mr. Manningham was so desperate that he was prepared to agree. But she had pleaded that Bella should come to stay with her and be nursed back to health. When the doctors agreed, Mr. Jameson said meaningfully, "Your husband could not but say the same." Mrs. Jameson was a Christian of some nonconformist sect with very rigid principles of marriage, but a more flexible interpretation of neighborly love. "I never want to see him again," Bella said. "He has gone to London," Mrs. Jameson said, "where he has prospects. Of course you should join him, but not until you are better." I won't. He's the devil incarnate. I tell you, I won't." The doctor told her, "It is a disease which can be caught in the most innocent manner sometimes. It is difficult to tell. Surely the benefit of the doubt." "I know that man," she said. "He's been living on the benefit of doubts all of his life. I won't go back to that beast. I tell you, I won't." Mr. Jameson came and sat by her bed. Bella noticed that, as well as on his nose, he had hair growing in his ears, like the webs of spiders. "I can sympathize with you about your husband, Mrs. Manningham. He is a very charming and plausible man, but he is not honest, as I know to my cost. Indeed, to coin a phrase, I would call him a crooked customer." "I always suspected it," Bella said. "But he is your husband," Mr. Jameson said. "You are joined to him for worse as well as for better." No. Bella thought of the spirochetes killing her child, poisoning her own placenta, the very center of her life-giving. No! "Whom God hath joined, no man can put asunder." He can, and he has. This battle went on for weeks, step by step, with the treatment. "Don't you honor him too much by calling him the devil incarnate?" Minty asked. You have to respect the devil. Bella laughed for the first time since she had lost the child. Jack's a little boy, a very nasty little boy. They worked on her in relays. Even a very nasty little boy, suggested Mr. Jameson, has an immortal soul capable of atonement with God through Jesus Christ. The doctor said, "Now this is most unprofessional, but I must read you passages from this letter from my colleague, Dr. Frost, in London." He produced a letter. He went on, "Mr. Manningham is not an easy patient. When you passed him to me, he was filled with remorse at the death of the baby and at the possible effects it had and may continue to have on Mrs. Manningham, towards whom he feels the deepest devotions, despite whatever may have been his conduct. He is meticulous in presenting himself for treatment, but I suspect that he combines with strength of personality, weakness of will. I fear that what may happen to him if he is left to the devices of the metropolis without the sobering influence of his wife. We each have our cross to bear," explained Mrs. Jameson. "When Mr. Jameson contracted mumps on our honeymoon, no woman could have blasphemed the good Lord more than I. But perhaps I have become a better godmother." Bella left her bed after 10 days, but she remained with the Jamesons as many weeks. Her father would have liked them. They were neither clever nor cultivated, but she discovered they had a moral discrimination. They saw the world as a battleground between good and evil. It was a war fought with different strategies from those Bella had taken from the Greeks. But it found a place for Jack. Though Bella could not admit the arguments of Christian forbearance, she recognized that life with Jack, however tempestuous, was at least better than the suspended animation of Holly Place. She let it be known that she would be prepared to consider returning to her husband, provided that she received a proper letter of apology. The first letter, which arrived, she rejected because it was too high and mighty, and the second because it was too groveling. "Why not come to York to explain yourself in person? You do not seem happy wielding a pen," she wrote. Mr. Jameson shook his head when she showed it to him. "You could express yourself more judiciously, but I don't see why, under the circumstances, I should. I have money in my own right. I do not have to depend upon Mr. Manningham for anything." Mr. Jameson took Bella to see his solicitor, a portly gentleman named Beans. On hearing the date of her marriage, he sighed deeply. "You have, my dear madam," said Beans, "committed the folly of a premature marriage." He paused to allow a little balm of bewilderment to spread. "Supposing that you had had the foresight to anticipate the passing of the Married Woman's Property Act of 1882, you would have been well advised to postpone matrimony until after that date. But as it is, your husband, during his lifetime, has an absolute power of disposing your personal property and chattels real, no act of yours being of any force to affect or transfer that which by intermarriage you have assigned to him. Whereas in a court of equity, it might be possible to plead the doctrine of separate estate so that you would be allowed to deal with your property as a femme sole. Such a case would be very costly to pursue and uncertain of success in view of the fact that you have been married for 7 years without apparently objecting to your husband's conduct of your affairs, or I should be legally more correct in saying his affair. Bella threw her hands up. I declare, Mr. Beans, unless you speak plain language, I cannot understand. Briefly, not to say bluntly, Mrs. Manningham, you haven't a chance unless you can produce some cogent argument why affairs have changed between you and Mr. Manningham so that you can no longer trust his administration. Have you any such reason? Bella felt the blush suffuse her face and neck. She nodded. But it is of such a delicacy that I would rather die than produce it in a court of law. The interview with the lawyer somehow made it irrelevant what sort of apology she had from her husband. I will return to you, she wrote, upon 2 conditions. Firstly, that you will strictly continue treatment for the loathsome disease with which you infected me and killed our child. Dr. Patrick tells me that many patients abandon treatment on the disappearance of symptoms, beguiling themselves without foundation in the belief that the disease has been cured. The second condition is that you will not, at any subsequent time, demand what you are pleased to call your conjugal rights. There was no reply for a week. She began to think she had gone too far. He was a stiff-necked man, but his letter, at last it came, was more generous in tone than hers. It said, "My dear girl, I'm so glad that you now feel well enough to rejoin me. You will see from my address that I am still at the hotel, but against your coming, I've taken a lease on a house on Angel Street. It is number 13, which I am superstitious enough to believe is my lucky number, and shall be moving in to get it ready to welcome you. It's a largish house, perhaps not so smart as it was in the 1860s, furnished well, if not in the contemporary fashion. The rooms are large, with graciously high molded ceilings, and you will be pleased to hear that it is modernly equipped with gas. Its previous owner or tenant, I understand, having been connected with the City of London and great central companies, not merely are there gas lights, but also a gas stove for cooking and even a gas bath. I know that you would have preferred to choose the servants for yourself had you been here, but in your absence, I went to Mrs. Weston's agency on Kensington Church Street, and I engaged 2 persons, both having excellent references, who will make ready the place for your welcome. The cook is named Elizabeth, a widow woman of what is known as uncertain age. To her, we must pay £12 and all found. This may appear to us outrageously expensive, but it is, from my inquiries that I have made, reasonable for London standards. The undermaid is in her late teens. Nancy, I think her name is, but I'm not sure. She was started well in somebody's house in Bath, and comes for £5, all found. Signed, your affectionate husband, Jack Manningham. P.S. I'm not the sort of patient to which Dr. Patrick refers. I would never desist from a course of treatment until recommended to do so by my medical practitioner. I have a very good man here in Princess Square to whom I have confided the whole tragic story. You do me a grave injustice to think that I could knowingly pass on this terrible disease to you and our babe. Dr. Patrick must have told you that unclean sexual traffic is not the only way in which the disease can be transmitted. I've been racking my brains to think where you or I contracted it. If you recall, when we were in La Paz, do you remember that I cut my lip on a chipped wine glass and there developed what we dismissed as a cold sore, but might have been what they called a cancer? Or there was that time, was it before or afterwards? I forget. When you had that sort of rash on your legs, which we had put down to perspiration and thought no more of it when it went away. When we meet again, can it be on the basis of no recriminations? We neither of us can be certain which of us contracted it. All that we know is that we both have it now and are being treated. It was a tragedy that it was a tragedy that it should have infected our firstborn, but it will not be a meaningless tragedy if this common suffering deepens our understanding and tolerance of each other in the future, dear girl. Now, I found your remarks about conjugal rights difficult to understand. Our conjugal duty is to have nothing to do with one another in that way until we have both been given a clean bill of health. But when that day comes, can we not hope to have that child or children, which is, after all, the very purpose of matrimony? I promise you that I will not press you against your will. But the form in which you post your condition makes me fear that you have not yet completely regained the balance of mind that was shaken by this tragedy. I remember you telling me how long it took you to recover from the shock of your father's death. Is it fanciful to think, so strange is the working of the human soul, that what you have been suffering from is in some way a repetition of that earlier incident? It seems that I have made the postscript longer than the actual letter. Forgive me for this, as for all the faults, which I shall try to remedy, dear girl, when you join me in our new gaslit abode. J.N. Bella read and reread the letter. It was an astonishing document to come from her husband. She showed the medical passage to Dr. Patrick, who replied, When I was a medical student at Guy's, we were told cynically that only clergymen of the Church of England could catch this disease from lavatory seats. But one does read of remarkable cases. For example, a boxer cutting his fist on the teeth of a diseased opponent and then developing the disease. I must say, medically, what your husband suggests is perfectly possible. Do you mean to say I can't blame him, that it could be me? He nodded. Equally, as I told you at the very outset, he might have quite innocently contracted the disease. From what you know of your husband, Mrs. Manningham, do you conceive it as possible that he would deliberately get you with child, if I may express myself so bluntly, knowing that he was suffering from such a disease? No, she said instantly. I'm quite certain of that. And he really did want me to have a child. Well, not a girl, of course, but a son. Dr. Patrick shook her by the hand. Isn't this your answer, Mrs. Manningham? But of course, thought Bella, walking in the minster clothes. It was an answer enigmatic as the Delphic oracles. The Jack Manningham that she knew, or thought she knew, was an irresponsible boy, dressing up in different clothes, never more himself than when he was being a creature of his fancy. Manningham, the Ishmaelite. Manningham, the diplomat. Manningham, the connoisseur of wine. Manningham, the judge of horseflesh. Manningham, the entrepreneur. Manningham, the lover. Manningham, the father. These roles conflicted in reality. Manningham, the father, was determined to get a son, and instead got a daughter dead. She showed the letter to the Jamesons. I think it is beautiful, my dear, said Minty. It shows a true spirit of husbandly affection. I think that you have misjudged him. And what do you think, Mr. Jameson? Well, Mr. Jameson bit his lip, scratched his head. It's a good letter. No doubt about that. Would you like me to be able to write a letter like that, Minty? Mrs. Jameson patted the back of his hand. You may not say so much, but I can read between the lines. Mr. Jameson handed back the letter. Is that all you have to say? A good letter? Mr. Jameson thought for a moment and then answered, he's a changed man by the sound of it. People do change, you know, Mrs. Jameson added. We've all been thinking what a terrible thing this has been for Mrs. Manningham. But it's been a terrible thing for Mr. Manningham, too. There's only one way you can find out, Mrs. Manningham, and that's to go to London and see for yourself. Our prayers will go with you. It was true, but as she made her preparations, a tag from Virgil ran in her mind. Timio Daneos et dona forentes, which translates to, I fear Greeks, even bearing gifts. Chapter.
Thank you for reading, John. I know that you came in on chapter 5, and I know that this was a lot about Bella, but I just need to ask you one question. I know you got to go.
Yeah, well,
From a gentleman's point of view,
yeah.
how do you feel about the story and Jack and his story that, could have been either one of us that contacted?
Okay. So
I think we should let them know that
hold
what are they called? Oh gosh, what's it called? The
spirochetes.
The spirochetes is a bacteria.
It's a bacteria, and it's in a shape of like
a corkscrew.
A corkscrew, correct.
And it's common with
syphilis.
Okay, because that doesn't come out in the book.
Well, so again,
we kind of guess, but
so there is some pretext, or not just pretext, but I mean, things that are implied but not stated. I did. So I actually read this chapter for you guys last night, but somehow or other it didn't get recorded. So we're actually re-recording it today. But I had mentioned last night with Elisa that I don't know how many of you folks are familiar with Dr. Albert Barnes, the famous Dr. Albert Barnes from the Barnes exhibit in Philadelphia, who owns the premier private collection of post-impressionist works. And but Barnes made his fortune by inventing a liquid eye drop to treat syphilis. So that's kind of interesting and also very relevant to the story here. But if I want to go back to Elisa, can you please ask the question you want to ask? Because I need to hear it in my mind before I answer it.
So what do you think about him saying that, I really think that, either one of us could have contracted this. I could have got it at La Paz when I cut my lip on that bottle and got a cold sore, and you had a rash from the heat, but do we really know that it was a rash? Could have been you.
Okay. So, can I have that back?
Yeah.
I'll answer the question, but I think that I have to really do some context setting for your audience. So, for one, I have never read Gaslight. I am very familiar with both the term, the psychological term, and I have also seen the film with, I think it was it Ingrid Bergman?
Yeah.
Yeah, Ingrid Bergman. And again, in the film, her name was Paula.
Yeah.
So I don't know, they must have,
Hitchcock.
whatever. They changed a lot from from this actual story. So having said that, I want to make sure you guys understand that I have not read the book. I've seen the movie. I know what the psychological term to gaslight somebody means, and it comes from this book and or movie. So having said that, to answer Elisa's question, my impression or my take on this is, it's almost hard. I know what she's looking for. She's looking for the male perspective.
I know.
But I'm saying, for me, it's hard to answer that question because I already know the story. You know what I mean? I haven't read the book, but I know what the narrative is about. And, the term gaslighting is become a synonym for doing things to another individual that makes them question their own sanity. Mm-hmm. So holding that in mind, I would say that it's very likely that Mr. Manningham contracted syphilis in the most common way of contracting syphilis. Yeah. And he's using, I'll call it, I would say rationalization. Now, again, I need to be clear here. Rationalization is not the same thing as rational or being rational. In fact, it's the exact opposite of that. So he's using rationalization to plant the seeds of doubt in his wife's mind and give him, once again, she mentioned it in this chapter, the benefit of the doubt. So basically, here's the beginning of gaslighting Bella or Paula, whatever you want to do, because he knows full well he probably got syphilis from sleeping with, whoever, some whore or whatever, prostitute, and that now he's making her doubt reality or her own mind, her own mind's ability to grasp reality, and he's using the doctors to help him do that because again, it is fair and it is correct that the disease could be contracted through non-sexual means. You could get it.
A tractor.
Huh?
A tractor.
What do you mean?
Remember the tractor story?
Oh, Seinfeld, the tractor story. Yeah. No, I'm saying you could get this disease by other than sexual contact with someone who has the disease.
Someone bites you?
And
like
he's
a boxer?
And he's it doesn't matter, honey.
Okay.
You don't have to give all the possible ways you can get it.
Right,
just state the principle. You could get it other ways, but he's using those other ways to not only make her doubt the judgment of her own mind, but now he's got her thinking she might have contracted it and given it to him.
Right.
Which,
So can I say also that he followed up with the fact that she did confide in him how distraught she was when she lost her father. And now he's trying to say, is this a repetition of maybe, I could tell by the tone of your letter that, maybe you're having a flashback to when you lost your father. And this is just it's so prolonged, you being upset with me. And the other thing was, she doesn't want to have any, she wants him strictly to adhere to treatment, irregardless if the symptoms alleviate or not. You're going to continue with this and that there'll be no conjugal visits. And then he's saying, well, of course, we both need a clean bill of health, but what about children? Isn't that what marriage is for? Don't you want children?
Yeah.
So he's going to creep back in her bed anyway.
Yeah,
it's going to creep back in.
Of course he is.
Yeah. So, yep. Okay, guys. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to follow up.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye, John. I'm going to follow up with a closing, and I'll be with you shortly. Hi again. I had my own little closing here before John had agreed to read. And so I just want to get that out to you. But I also want to let you know that I took a break here. I am using the art.pen. And I give you a little of my opinion after using it for 45 minutes straight. But then back to the chapter. So here we go. For me, this chapter changed everything. And I'm so glad John read it because I felt like he added the weight to it. Again, I didn't think that this chapter was a chapter about hysteria, but more about clarity. When Bella says, I knew it all, I had a feeling, or I knew it all along. Bella's not going mad as he would want her to believe, as John and I discussed at the ending. Oh, you think maybe this is like a repetition of when you lost your dad, you had a really hard time. She's waking up. I'm surprised she didn't wake up a little bit earlier with the people that she was introducing him to, and then all of a sudden he would get in business with them. But then again, she's really not a woman of the world. She's a young woman. All she knew was her dad of men, and he was very respectable. But now knowing why her child died and him trying to gaslight her, oh, maybe it was you, maybe it was me. We don't know who contacted this disease. So her understanding why her child died, and, finally when they tell her, she may have thought before that it was fate or weakness or God's will, but it's a disease that was brought into her body through betrayal and then covered up, or trying to be covered up, in Jack Manningham's style, as we saw Bella outline, with charm, denial, plausible innocence. The most disturbing truth of this chapter was not the illness itself, but how quickly the world around Bella is willing to explain it away. She is threatened with certification, not because she is irrational, but because she is naming the truth out loud. And if you notice this carefully, those who insist she must return to her husband do so in the name of duty, for better, for worse, marriage, and endurance, while quietly ignoring justice and her safety and love. I mean, Bella says it out loud. I knew it. I just, of course you know it. You live with the man. Mrs. Jamieson's words said it all, the rigid principles of marriage, but a flexible understanding of neighborly love. That tension between social order and human compassion runs straight through this book. Bella's refusal to return, it wasn't a woman, rebellious woman. She's trying to preserve herself. She recognizes something very essential here, that he has lived on the benefit of doubt all his life. Now, I wondered at that point, I know she thinks Holly Place is just like a penitentiary, or like a slow death for her, but did she in any way consider just going back to her family? I wondered that. I think maybe there was a moment there when she did, or maybe it was brought up because she said this is better than going back to Holly Place, going back to your family. Why do we do this to ourselves? We don't want to admit that we made a mistake and be like, you know what, you're right. Of course you're right. You're older than me. You're wiser than me. You saw right through this. What did she call him? Flibber gibberet? Something like that. Like, where did you find this man from? And she just doesn't want to give her aunt that, you were right. I think, though, now finally, she's not willing to grant the benefit of the doubt anymore. And that legal consultation, what was it, the Property Act of Married Women? Oh my gosh, under the law, everything belongs to her husband. Forget her money and her future, her body, all belong to the very man that harmed her. And this is, I think, I was so, being that John didn't read the first 4 chapters with me. I don't know if he watched it. He is a member of mine. I don't know if he watched it, but very clearly, he could see the gaslighting is beginning. He's trying to plant doubts in her mind. Would I say that the memories are invented? Yeah, maybe. I mean, remember that rash that you had? It could have been you. Or maybe this is just like, you're still not over your dad. And then he has that convenient explanation of being at La Paz, and, the bottle was chipped, and I cut I got a cold sore. Maybe that's how I got it. Maybe it was innocent. Maybe you're just mistaken. Oh my gosh. And we leave the chapter with a warning. I fear the gods, even when they bear gifts. Because from this moment forward, every kindness from Mr. Manningham, from Jack, will come wrapped in control. He's rented the house. He's gotten a modern house. He has, it has gas and gas lights and a gas stove and a gas bath for hot water. He's got, this is what I wanted to ask John. He got the cook, widowed woman of an age that we don't know, and a young teen undermaid. Oh, the red flags went up right away. Got a young woman living in your home. Another inexperienced, naive, woman, not woman, child, said teen, living in the home. And already the red flag went up there. So I know I took the volume off of this because there was a lot going on in the background. John was walking in and out. Fufi may even be in the room with me here. I believe that this chapter, this segment is about to end. And so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what I thought about the art dot pen, which I have been using. So it's a good review. I have been using it. I like coming into my room and just picking it up and have to worry about what pen do I have, what's in what place, or is there putty, is there wax, does it have to be changed? I was cleaning my room. I was like, okay, I got a lot done, got a lot organized. I'm gonna go take a break. And I went right into my room and picked up the pen. And I was able to just like take a deep exhale and relax for a moment with my diamond painting. So I'm going to see where this is, maybe let this play out. And then I had an additional 25 minutes and I just don't want to, I don't want to pick it up. I don't want to use this for something else. I might just let music play out. Maybe just leave you with your thoughts of this chapter after the review. I'm not sure. I'll see how it all comes together. Right now, the video is about an hour and 15 minutes long. That's the end of this, the review, and then another like 30 minutes of filming that I had. Okay, let me stop talking. Thanks for joining us. I will see you for chapter 6. Bye. Being that my husband stopped playing for a minute, I just wanted to say that I used that pen for 45 minutes straight with no problem. And I'm not a single placer. I'm really not. And this was a big section. I was like, why are you not multi-placing this section? You know, and it would have been done already. I'm sure it would have been done quicker than 45 minutes. This pen has its place for me. If I was downstairs watching a movie, because I was having a conversation with John. You couldn't see that. His friend was on the phone. His mom's in the hospital and his aunt's in the hospital at the same time. And so we were sitting talking, and maybe that's why it took me a little bit longer. I don't think so. But if I was watching a movie and single placing, and I'd be able to like look up and be like, yeah, okay, you know, and single place. So I love the pen. I didn't use the bunny. I used the bunny only for my enhancements. So I wanted to give you guys an update on this. I did speak to my contact over at Art and asked them if they were going to be doing replacement tips on these, because they did change the tip. It is a little bit narrower, and even the opening is smaller. Do you see how pinpoint? Where's the camera? You see the pinpoint hole on that? And then you have this one. So, I mean, that is smaller, but they said they're only going to make replacement tips on the newer models, not on this one, which I think is a shame, because if you bought this and you love it, I'm sure that the tip does wear, because the tips wear. Well, I broke my one pen that I've had for 4 years, and I love that pen. But the tips, if you look at the tips on your own diamond painting pen, I'm trying to look for a pen that I use all the time, and that it's broken in half. It's gone. It's done. And I used it for 4 years. But the tip on the bottom, no, I don't have a pen that I use that often. The tip on the bottom was kind of like, no, I got a different tip on here. I don't even have a tip. Here's a cone tip. I can't find a brass tip, huh? Nope. Don't have a brass tip on that one either. But you'll notice on your brass tips, you'll notice that they get, the way that you hold them, they do wear down. So I'm hoping that they change their mind on that one. I'm hoping that but they probably won't. This model is probably already obsolete. You know what I mean? It's probably already where we went back to the drawing board, and there's no reason for us to make new tips for that one. I also spoke about customer service. I did have one of my members that was having a problem with this pen, suction wise, and I will be getting in touch with you about putting another shout out for that. I'm going to do it because I honestly, I love Art Dot, but you know, and I stand behind them, and I do reviews for them, and I don't like hearing that someone had a problem with this pen, they bought it because of my review, and then they're hesitant to get the follow-up pen, which is, you saw me use it for 45 minutes. They're missing out, but they're like, no thanks, because when I had a problem with this pen, no one got back to me. So, you know me, I'm Sicilian, I'm persistent. I'm going to be calling Art Dot all the time. All the time, Art Dot, I'm going to be coming for you with a bunny. Okay? So, yeah, that's the update on the Art Dot pen. That's all I wanted to tell you guys. Whether it's going to fall into this review, this little diamond painting session that I did or not, but I gotta get back to my diamond painting because he's getting ready to start singing again. And then we're going to read Gaslight. But I think I'm going to try and get John to read it. I think I'm going to try and get John. I'm going to peruse the next chapter because I always peruse it for language, and these two are all over the world. I hope that you looked at the Victorian glossary because I had no idea. I'm going to get into a little bit more about what was really going on during the 1800s. I had no idea that a Victorian honeymoon meant that a honeymoon could be like up to a year. Up to a year you could go away. So these two have been all over the place. And I'm going to add to the glossary foods because they do eat kind of crazy foods. And I'm going to add, you know, all the mythology that she grew up with. Her father read her a lot of mythology, and I think that she kind of, you know, right now she's in her Persephone stage because, well, you'll find out. But she's in her Persephone stage and Kypris stage. So I think it's interesting to know who all these gods and goddesses were and what, you know, their what were they the deity over. So yeah, we're going in. I read 3 and 4. We're going into chapter 5. So, and I think, oh yep, chapter 5, and then we go into part 2. All right, and this is a movie, and I seen the movie years ago. I knew that I loved it, but I don't remember any of this of that I'm reading. So it was a stage play. It was adapted for a novel, and then Hitchcock got a hold of it and he adapted it into a movie. So it's had 3 incarnations already. I would love to have read, or you know, the original Angel Street. So the play. I don't know if I could still find that. That'd be really interesting. Like I told you guys, we're going into New York on the, I can't remember, February soon. We're going for the Lunar New Year. And if I have time, I'm going to run down Spring Street. I don't even know if the guy is still there. I should check with my friends first before I run down there. But right on Spring, before you hit 6th Avenue, there is a guy out with, he's been there for years, with a table. And he has like practically every play, or maybe even down Prince Street. But I know that I always seen him on Spring and 6th. He has a table, like 2 or 3 of the long folding tables that you would see, like if you were going to go play bingo. And he has practically every single play. And I was like, what do they do? Like, of course, it's New York. What do they do with them? But I think it would be fascinating to read the actual script. I don't think he would have this, but I'm just going to go down there and just like maybe do like a short little skit down there and show you guys. If we should have the time, because Chinatown's not too far from there. But anyway, I'm getting off the beaten path. I was supposed to be taking a break, and I'm bumping my gums for too long. Bye. Back to diamond painting. I decided to just pick up where I left off here. I just want to clear my phone of all these videos that I have, and not enough time to read chapter 6 because it goes into part 2. However, I think it's just a nice little break to have some music if you're diamond painting, which I hope you are, or maybe you're just sitting back and listening, or maybe you're just watching me. But if you are diamond painting, here's some really nice meditative music. I really love the music that I picked for this book. It's a Gothic, Southern Gothic type of clip that I use. It's really, I just love it. But I know you guys love the Fluidscape, and so sit back and relax. It's going to be about at least 25 minutes, and I'll see you for chapter 6 soon. Bye.